Tyreek Hill explodes back into Kansas City. The Chiefs are unstoppable. Tyreek Hill has officially rejoined the Kansas City Chiefs, and what a return it's been. From his first snap, he reminded the world exactly who he is. The Cheetah Tata was faster, sharper, and more dangerous than ever. His connection with Patrick Mahomes picked up right where it left off. Explosive, electric, and absolutely unstoppable. The Chiefs' offense is now fully loaded, and with Hill back in the mix, this team just became the most feared unit in the NFL. Kansas City isn't just aiming for the playoffs, they're making a statement. We're coming for another Super Bowl, and we won't be denied. This team looks championship ready. The chemistry is there, the fire is back, and the league better take notice because the Dynasty is alive and well. Chiefs Kingdom, do you believe this is the year? Drop it in the comments if you're ready for another parade. In case I don't care what illusion you thought you witnessed in that Super Bowl, if you genuinely believe the Kansas City Chiefs are finished, if you've bought into the fairy tale that this dynasty is deteriorating, then brace yourself. What I'm about to reveal will shatter that fragile narrative at its foundation. This isn't just a redemption arc, it's a resurrection, a vengeance-fueled reckoning, a resurgence of greatness that refuses to die quietly. Stick around until the end, smash that like button, drop a comment, just type W if you still ride with the Chiefs, or L if you believe the fire's gone cold, and don't forget to subscribe because what's coming next, you won't want to blink. When you enter the arena wearing a target the size of Missouri on your back, you don't get the privilege of losing quietly. There's no slipping out the side door with a nod and a handshake. Not when you're Patrick Mahomes. Not when you're the Kansas City Chiefs. Every misstep becomes a national spectacle. One stumble, and the critics erupt from the shadows, foaming at the mouth, eager to declare the death of a dynasty that's far from over. Let me ask you something. How many teams in NFL history could absorb a loss of that magnitude, a Super Bowl blow with the weight of legacy pressing down, and still have people whispering, they'll be back? Not many. But this team, this quarterback, they're built different. Patrick Mahomes is built different. The Kansas City Chiefs didn't limp into the Super Bowl. They marched in with 2 Lombardi trophies already glinting in the rearview mirror, eyes laser-focused on a three-peat, football's holy grail. But what they found wasn't destiny, it was devastation. A buzzsaw named the Philadelphia Eagles turned their dream into a nightmare, 40-22. But here's the twist. That loss wasn't a funeral, it was a warning. If you watched that game and thought, it's over, then you never understood the journey to begin with. You judge the book by the final page, not the epic that led there. Let me set the record straight. Patrick Mahomes is still him. Andy Reid, the wizard behind the playbook, is still dialing up magic. And Brett Veach, the chess master in the front office, he's still orchestrating one of the greatest roster symphonies in modern sports. And let's not pretend like Veach gets his flowers. He doesn't. But he should. When former NFL QB Kurt Benkert praised the Chiefs, he wasn't spouting fan fiction, he was stating fact. Veach didn't just hand Mahomes a $500 million check and pray. He engineered that contract with surgical brilliance, infusing it with flexibility, strategy, and sustainability. You try giving a man $500 million, 0 cents, and still building a Super Bowl roster around him. That's not management, that's sorcery. And it worked. Year after year, the Chiefs remain lean, lethal, and loaded. That's not luck, that's legacy. That's dynasty DNA. And let's talk boldness. It's not just about who they kept, it's about who they let go. Tyreek Hill, one of the most electrifying playmakers the league has ever seen, traded, and what happened next? They hoisted another Lombardi without him. That's not luck. That's foresight. That's strategic brilliance in motion. Chess, while the rest of the league plays checkers. Kansas City doesn't cling. They evolve. They recalibrate. They reload. That's how you survive. That's how you dominate. So don't misinterpret this loss. Don't let the scoreboard fool you. The core remains. Andy Reid is still scheming like he's playing Madden on rookie difficulty. Mahomes is still bending the laws of physics. And defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, he's conducting a defense that only gets nastier the deeper into the season it goes. Yes, the offense sputtered. Yes, the lights didn't shine as bright, but that's not the conclusion. It's the cliffhanger. It's the setup for a historic comeback. You really believe this squad, after everything they've conquered, is going to fold now? One rough night erases years of magic. You don't believe that. You hope that. Because the alternative, that terrifies you. The alternative means they're not done. The alternative means the banners will rise again and again and again. Kurt Benkert didn't just dissect salary caps. He illuminated the why, the philosophy that defines this franchise. Kansas City doesn't play impulsively. They play intelligently. They draft with intent. They release with timing. They spend with surgical precision. That's not flashy. That's not trending on TikTok. But it wins, and now it's getting dangerous because now they're hitting in the draft too. When savvy management meets homegrown talent, that's not just sustainability, it's supremacy. You think Mahomes needs another Pro Bowl wideout to dominate? He is the Pro Bowl. He manufactures greatness. He elevates everyone around him. But now, he's about to be surrounded by hungry young weapons with something to prove. Add that to a chip on his shoulder the size of Texas? Yeah, it's about to get spooky. That weight Mahomes carries on his shoulder after that Super Bowl loss, that's not some gentle burden. It's explosive fuel. Not a recipe for recovery, but a blueprint for domination. Let's step into the psychology of this moment. Do you remember what happened the last time Mahomes fell short on the league's grandest stage? He returned like a possessed force of nature and stacked back-to-back titles. People keep trying to eulogize this man's legacy, yet every time he grabs the pen and writes another immortal scene. Chapter 2. That's not coincidence, that's conviction, that's leadership, that's generational greatness unfolding in real time. Now, we've entered uncharted waters. The world is skeptical. The noise, deafening. The spotlight, relentless. But inside that locker room, silence, focus, hunger. You think they're sulking over one game? You think they're wrapped in regret? Please! They're in the gym. They're in the film room. They're back in the laboratory crafting another masterpiece. Because this isn't about revenge. It's about restoration. It's about reminding the football world exactly who they are. This isn't the end. It's the reset. The quiet before the onslaught. And the next time you see them on that field, it won't resemble February 9th. It's going to look like a declaration, a war cry laced in cleats and shoulder pads, a message delivered to every franchise that prematurely celebrated their fall. This isn't a tale of failure. It's the setup to the sequel, and you're either wise enough to anticipate it now, or you'll be stunned when the confetti rains again next February and that same team is back atop the mountain. You know the problem with most NFL fans? Their memory is short. The moment greatness stumbles, they assume it's finished, like watching a lion trip and thinking the jungle's safe. But the real ones, the warriors, the comeback artists, the battle-scarred veterans, they know a legend setback is just the setup for a legacy run. And the Kansas City Chiefs, they're not just a franchise, they're a standard, a living emblem of what happens when elite talent meets structured excellence, when brilliance is backed by belief, when preparation locks arms with purpose. After that Super Bowl loss, people were quick to close the book, toss the crown to the next shiny contender. But here's what they missed. This story is far from over. In fact, it just got more dangerous. Picture that locker room post-defeat. Think it was chaos? Think it was grief? Wrong. It was calculation. Cold focus. Because when you've paraded down that boulevard, felt the electricity of a championship crowd, tasted victory from the summit, you don't forget that. You don't let it go. One loss doesn't kill it. It hardens. It crystallizes. It fuels the next run. And I guarantee you, every man in that locker room walked out thinking the same thing. We'll be back. Not just back in the playoffs. Back on the main stage. The final act. And this time, the script ends differently. Let's talk Patrick Mahomes. The man, the myth, the blueprint of football's future. If you judged him by that scoreboard on February 9th, you weren't watching the game. You were skimming the surface of a symphony and pretending you understood the melody. Mahomes is more than stats, more than trophies. He's the gravitational force around which the league revolves. When he takes the field, defenses don't just prepare, they panic. And the most terrifying truth? He's still evolving, still hungry, still sharpening the blade. You thought that version of Mahomes was dangerous? Wait until you see him humbled, questioned, challenged. When you anoint someone too early, they get complacent. But when you strip the crown from a king who earned it, he doesn't just want it back, he comes to take it. Mahomes isn't chasing likes, he's chasing legacy. He's not here to trend, he's here to transcend. And he's backed by a front office that moves with the precision of a hedge fund and the vision of a dynasty architect. Brett Veach isn't a GM, he's a grandmaster, the silent architect of a modern-day empire. While the NFL bends over backward to enforce parity, to spread the talent, level the field, keep every team competitive, Veach said, forget that. I'm building a kingdom. He's doing what the Patriots did, only faster, cleaner, and with more edge. This isn't an organization that reacts. This is an organization that anticipates, that moves with purpose, that dominates with intelligence. And now that Mahomes has been humbled, watch what happens next. This team doesn't just react. It foresees. It calculates. It builds bridges before the flood ever threatens the riverbank. Remember when Tyreek Hill left, the critics wept. They said Mahomes would crumble, that the spell was broken. And yet, by the time February rolled around, they were lifting the Lombardi again. Now tell me that's not brilliance. Tell me that's not a machine engineered to transcend personnel, crafted for adaptability, sustainability, immortality. For Kansas City, the NFL draft isn't a gamble, it's a weapon. A blueprint, a surgical tool used to extend a legacy without mortgaging tomorrow. While other franchises roll dice in panic, the Chiefs play 4D chess in a dimly lit war room, quietly scripting the future. And let's not overlook the other half of this dynasty engine, Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo. Reid, the godfather of offensive innovation, is dialing up plays that feel like they belong in a science fiction film. Illusion, misdirection, and flawless execution blend into something that makes defensive coordinators dizzy. Meanwhile, Spagnuolo has molded a defense that travels, that hits, endures, and thrives under duress. They're not always the headline, but come December and January, when the stakes rise and the lights blind, that unit locks in. That's the kind of steel you forge through fire. That's the spine of a revenge tour. Now, let's talk about motivation. You think this team hasn't heard the noise? You think they haven't seen the memes, the talking heads, the casuals declaring the end, the magic is over, it's someone else's time? Please. Champions aren't inspired by praise, they're ignited by doubt. They don't grow through comfort, they evolve through discomfort. And the league? Oh, it just poked the bear, it struck the match. And when this inferno spreads across the gridiron next season, don't play innocent. Now, here's the future. Mahomes is entering that stage, the one where the game slows down, where his mind operates at the speed of his arm, where his instincts become prophetic. He was dangerous before. Wait until you see him sharpened by defeat, driven by doubt, hungrier than ever. He's entering that Jordan phase where every down becomes doctrine and every Sunday feels like scripture. And he's not alone. The young talent, they're learning the system. They're soaking in the standard. They're not rebuilding, they're rolling. And that's what has the league whispering instead of roaring, because deep down, they know the truth. This isn't the end, it's the intermission. Yes, that Super Bowl loss stung. It was brutal, unexpected, but it was necessary. The reset button, the narrative correction, the crucible moment to remind every soul in that locker room that good isn't enough, that great isn't the finish line, that legacies aren't just built on victory. They're built on the comeback. And if you think they won't respond, you haven't been watching. There's a storm brewing, a reckoning. And when this next season begins, the Chiefs won't be walking onto the field. They'll be marching. Unified, focused, engineered like a war machine that remembers what it means to fall and is now obsessed with the climb. This isn't just football. It's a crusade, a mission, a legacy in motion. While the rest of the league parades around, celebrating their momentary triumphs, Kansas City is back in the shadows, designing, adapting, plotting. And when the curtain lifts next February, don't be surprised if the last team standing is the one everyone doubted. So go ahead. Keep betting against them. Keep burying the narrative, but don't act stunned when they rise, louder, faster, stronger, because this dynasty isn't dying. It's evolving. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment below. Are you still riding with Mahomes and the Chiefs? Type W if you believe the fire's just getting started. Type L if you think the flame's burned out. Either way, I want to know where you stand. And hit that subscribe button, because here you're getting the rawest truths, the deepest breakdowns, and the most fearless breakdowns, and the most fearless comebacks. Just like the Chiefs themselves. Let me tell y'all something right now. There's a storm brewing in Kansas City, and it has nothing to do with the skies. We're talking about Travis Kelce, not just a tight end, but a revolution in shoulder pads. The man didn't just play the position, he redefined it. He elevated it, he made it dangerous, he made it iconic. Now, look, I don't throw around words like GOAT casually, but when it comes to what Kelce has done in that red and gold, we have to start asking the kinds of questions that shake the pillars of greatness. Rewind the tape for a second. Remember when tight ends were just glorified blockers? Big dudes who might get 5 touches a game on a good day? That era ended when Kelce stepped on the field. He made the position electrifying. He turned it into a weapon, a nightmare, a game plan wrecker. And now, with his contract set to expire after 2025, we're staring down the barrel of what could be the final act. But don't get it twisted. Travis ain't walking away just yet. He's suiting up again. One more ride. For the city, for the badge, for the dynasty he helped build with his own hands. People want to talk about that Super Bowl loss to the Eagles like it closed the book, like it was the final chapter. Let me be clear. It didn't seal anything. All it did was ignite a blaze, because when Travis Kelce gets that look, the one that says, "I'm not done yet," that's when things get dangerous. That's when the entire league should start sweating. This isn't about stats. It's not about highlights or headlines. This is about legacy. This is about the fire of a champion and the refusal to let his story end on somebody else's terms. But what makes this journey even more legendary isn't just what Kelce's doing. It's how he's doing it. Still elite, still torching defenses like they're Pop Warner squads, and simultaneously mentoring the next generation of talent. You think about tight end university, you think about commitment to the craft. That ain't PR fluff. That's passion. That's precision. That's a man on a mission to leave the game better than he found it. That kind of leadership? Thank you, guys. See you next video.